Chapter 10. The Little Old Woman Who Lived in a Shoe. Once upon a time, there was a little old woman who lived in a shoe. This shoe stood near a great forest and was so large that it served as a house for the old lady and all her children, of which she had so many that she did not know what to do with them. But the little old woman was very fond of her children, and they only thought of the best way to please her. Strong Arm, the eldest, cut down trees for firewood. Peter made baskets of wickerwork. Mark was chief gardener. Lidgy milked the cow, and Jenny taught the younger children to read. This little old woman had not always lived in a shoe. She and her family had once dwelt in a nice house covered with ivy, and her husband was a woodcutter like Strong Arm. But there lived in a huge castle beyond the forest a fierce giant. One day, he came and laid their house in ruins with his club, after which he carried off the poor woodcutter to his castle beyond the forest. When the little old woman came home, her house was in ruins and her husband was nowhere to be seen. Night came on, and as the father did not return, the old lady and her family went to search for him. When they came to that part of the wood where the giant had met their father, they saw an immense shoe. They spent a long time weeping and calling out to their father but met with no reply. Then, the old lady thought they had better take shelter in the shoe until they could build a new house. So, Peter and Strong Arm put a roof to it, and cut a door, and turned it into a dwelling. Here, they all lived happily for many years, but the little old lady never forgot her husband and his sad fate. Strong Arm, who saw how wretched his mother often was about it, proposed to his 11 brothers that they should go with him and set their father free from the giant. Their mother knew that giant's strength, and would not hear of the attempt, as she feared they would all be killed. But Strong Arm was not afraid. He bought a dozen sharp swords, and Peter made as many strong shields and helmets, as well as crossbows and iron-headed arrows. They were now quite ready. Strong Arm gave the order to march, and they started for the forest. The next day, they came in sight of the giant's castle. Strong Arm, leaving his brothers in a wood close by, strode boldly up to the entrance, and seized the knocker. The door was opened by a funny little boy with a large head who kept grinning and laughing. Strong Arm then walked boldly across the courtyard, and presently met a page, who took off his hat and asked him what he wanted. Strong Arm said he had come to liberate his father, who was kept a prisoner by the giant. The little man replied that he was sorry for him, because the part of the castle in which his father was kept was guarded by a large dragon. Strong Arm, not daunted, soon found the monster, who was fast asleep, so he made short work of him by sending his sword right through his heart. At this he jumped up, uttering a loud scream, and moved as if he would spring forward and seize Strong Arm. But the good sword had done its work, and the monster fell heavily on the ground, dead. The giant, who had been drinking wine, was fast asleep in a remote part of the castle. No sooner had Strong Arm killed the dragon, than the funny little boy, who had opened the door, came there. He led Strong Arm round to another part of the courtyard, where he saw his poor father, who at once sprung to his feet, and embraced him. Then Strong Arm called up his brothers. When they had embraced their father, they soon broke his chain, and set him free. They decided to return to the little old woman. After her sons had started, she gave way to the most bitter grief. While she was in this state, an old witch came up to her, and said she would help her, as she hated the giant, and wished to kill him. The old witch then took the little old lady on her broom, and they sailed off through the air, straight to the giant's castle. This old witch had great power, and at once afflicted the giant with corns and tender feet. When he awoke from his sleep, he was in such pain that he could bear it no longer. So, he thought he would go in search of his missing shoe, which, like the other one he had in his castle, was easy and large for his foot. When he came to the spot where the old lady and her children lived, he saw his old shoe. With a loud laugh that shook the trees, he thrust his foot into it, breaking through the roof that Strongarm and Peter had put to it. The children, in great alarm, rushed about inside the shoe, and frightened and trembling, scrambled through the door and the slits which the giant had formerly made up of his corns. By this time, the witch and the little old lady, and also Strongarm, his 11 brothers, and his father, came up to the spot. Strongarm and his brothers shot their arrows at him till he fell wounded. Then Strongarm went up to him and cut off his head. The father, the little old woman, and all their children built a new house and lived happily ever afterwards.